Hello and welcome back. So today I am back with another tutorial for you. This is a floating pocket, a double pocket using book pages. So I have here the floating pockets in 3 different sizes, as you can see. Now there are many ways you can make these, and I thought we'll do some on camera. And I'm sure everyone knows what a floating pocket is, but for someone who's just beginning, let me just tell you. So a floating pocket is a kind of pocket that can move around in your journal. So usually you have a page, like for example, if this is your journal page, then the pocket is stuck to your journal page, and you pull out things and put things inside, and this just doesn't move. But a floating pocket is simply clipped to the side of your page, and as the name suggests, it simply can float from one page to another. That is, it can be moved around, and you can change where the pocket sits in your journal. So that's the idea. So that means a complete pocket, and I have obviously added some little ephemera to it already, and I used the images from my digital kit, the vintage botanicals digital kit from my Etsy store. I'll leave the link down below. Now, about how I made these, so let's begin. I used book pages from a botanical book, that a nature book, in fact, that was about bees and honeybees and wasps and things. And let me just show you. This was the size of the page. I think this is approximately a little more than 7.5 by almost 10.5 in height. Well, any page can do, and you can just about use any book page. The size really doesn't matter that much, but this book page is kind of sturdy, if you know what I mean. This is not very flimsy. It's not something that would tear or break when you just simply fold, because if some when books are really old and they've seen some wear and tear, then when you simply fold the page, the page sort of tears on the crease. So this wouldn't do that because it's fairly thick. So that's one thing. And so coming to this first pocket, this is a huge big pocket, and for this one I simply used the whole book page just as it is. So I simply folded it in half like this. Okay, and I of course cut the notch at the top that you can see. It just makes it easier for someone to recognize that it's a pocket. And I sewed around the edges. You can simply glue, but just sewing gives a different look and a finished look, and of course also lends stability to the piece. So for the bigger pocket, I just made use of the whole page. Now, one thing that has to be kept in mind is when you fold a page in half, and when you're not intending to stick the pocket down and making a floating pocket like I did, then the back of it would also be visible. So, and you can see the font is like upside down, so you don't want that. Or maybe you would, and it wouldn't really bother, and maybe you could collage something and cover the upside down text with something, but I wanted to avoid that. So for this particular page, I chose a page which had this huge image of the honeycomb with the honeybees, and even though it's upside down, you really can't make out that it is wrong side up. So that's one thing. And for this second size, it is the same in width, but for the height, what I did was, again, this has two B images that are right side up on both the sides. So obviously that's not possible when you simply fold it in half, because the other side would be upside down. So what I did for this is I simply cut two different pieces of the book page, and I simply held them together with a paper clip while I sewed around the edge, and I just then cut a notch, and that is my second pocket. Of course, if it doesn't matter to you, the the images and the font being right side up, you could simply fold the page in half and just cut to the size that you want it. But this is how I did it. And then for this third size, what I did is, this whole book had this kind of two sections of text, so I just cut this piece off. So if I just show you, so for example, if if this was the page, this I'm just giving an example. If this was the page, I would just simply cut this piece off, and of course save this for later. I'd want to use it in some other way, and I just used this piece. And even in this piece, of course, again, the back side would have upside down images if I made it into a pocket like this. So what I did was I simply turned it around and I made a pocket here, so that way the writing would be sideways and not completely upside down. So the front and the back both would have writing that goes sideways and not upside down. So that's what I did with this pocket. I hope I'm making sense. So what I did for the purpose of this video is I've just cut such similar pieces out, and just to ease the process, I have sewed around the edges of these two pieces and cut a notch here and a notch here for this one, so we can save a little time. And what I did for the second pocket is I've used what do you call this, transfer paper. This is not very thin, it's very firm. You could use vellum or any translucent sheet, that you can find. I used these, and I'm hoping you can see that you are able to see through this page like that. So I really like the look that it gives. The tracing sheet, yes, so the tracing sheet I used is slightly firm. Usually tracing papers are very thin, but this is a slightly thick tracing paper. You could use any sort of firm plastic or acetate or vellum that you have, even that would look nice. So for these front pockets that you see here and here and then here again, I've used this tracing paper. And I've just cut these to size, and obviously added a notch so that it's recognized as a pocket. So about how you would place these, of course you can place it like this, or you can make it a side pocket like how I did. Now right or left, it's all up to you, but initially what I had in mind was I wanted to add a bit of lace or something at the bottom, or at the side, and that's why I made them into side pockets, so that I wouldn't have to clip the pocket onto the page with the lace side. But I then dropped the idea of lace because I liked the look of them just as they were. So I've slightly inked the edges for these, so if I think this belongs to this, and you see it already looks pretty. So let's just go ahead and ink this one. Inking just gives a slight definition to the piece and helps it stand out, really. I have glued these pieces on, but if you wanted, you could go ahead and sew the pieces, but of course you would have to attach the side pieces before you sewed the whole piece together. But because then if you tried sewing it after you've sewn the the main pocket, then you'll shut the pocket, you'll sew it shut, so we don't want that. So you will have to stitch the pocket earlier, but I just want to glue it down because this particular tracing paper glues down well, it sticks well. So we'll do this other one and we'll put this aside to dry. Let's do it on this side for this one. I think it is slightly bigger. We can just trim the excess off. So here are our two floating pockets. Now what I did next was I simply added some washi tape on the edge just so it looks nice. So how about this one? I like to add a little bit of glue. And there you go. That looks nice. And then for this one, how about if we added a bigger washi tape? Just add a little bit of glue. Washi tapes are not very reliable when it comes to sticking. They stick well, but there's always a chance that they'll come off. There you have it. This looks nice. Okay, so for the ephemera, what I did here was I used the images from my digital kit, which is called vintage botanicals, and I'll leave the link to its Etsy page down below. And I simply bagged the image onto some handmade paper. I'll just show you. So I had this handmade paper, and I simply glued the images down on to the handmade paper and just cut around it. It gives it a little bit of sturdiness, and you could of course write at the back. I did the same for this one. I like how they look. And for the patterned ephemera that you see, I've added one piece in all the pockets. You can see here. So this is from a book I had which had such patterned images of different fabric patterns and stuff. So you could easily add any scrapbooking paper or any printed cardstock, or just a tag, or just anything. So I had some beautiful patterned paper like this, so I just made use of that. You can use, of course, whatever you have at hand. So for the two pockets that we are going to make, let's just add a piece of pattern paper and some digital images that I have bagged onto handmade paper. Sorry, it should have been this one. I just wanted the pattern to show, just so it gives some color to the whole piece, and that's why I kind of have it around an inch or a little more than an inch over the pocket. Like that. So for the ones we are making, I have already prepared the ephemera. So these are two little pieces from the digital kit that I have again bagged down to some handmade paper, and some more botanicals that I have used. Handmade paper tends to curl a bit, so you can just bend it on, in the opposite direction, and it would straighten. So let's just add that. So you want the the little piece to be poking out a little bit. You don't want to push it all all through, just because it gives a little bit of interest. And like that. And for the patterned paper for this one, this would look nice here. Like this. And the little bit of green goes with the green and the washi tape and the smaller ephemera. And we have a little red one here. So there's a bit of red on the small card. Like that. So our floating double pockets are ready. Let me know in the comments down below how you found the video and if it has inspired you to craft some more, and we'll see you in some other video. Till then, take care. Bye.